is Ellen Bass. I turned 67 last fall, and no one called to say happy birthday. No card in the mail, not even a voicemail. I didn't expect anything else. After all, my daughter hasn't spoken to me in 30 years. But yesterday, everything shifted. I got a photo. No message, no sender, just a photo tucked inside a plain white envelope addressed in shaky handwriting. E. Carter. And when I pulled it out, I dropped my teacup. The crash didn't register. All I could do was stare. It was a child. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8. Dark curls, big brown eyes. A tiny birthmark just below her left cheek. I knew that face because once upon a time, I used to brush those same curls and kiss that same cheek goodnight. I'd tucked my own daughter into bed every night with lullabies and whispered prayers. And this girl in the photo looked just like June had 30 years ago. But the photo wasn't old. You could tell from the light, from the color of the leaves in the background, reds and golds just starting to turn. It was taken recently, this fall. I sat down. I held that photo like it was a piece of glass, like it would shatter if I blinked too hard. Because that girl, that had to be my granddaughter. And for the first time in 3 decades, June was trying to reach me. But why now? What did she want me to see? And what kind of truth was waiting for me at the end of this? Before I could even begin to think it through, the phone rang. One ring, just one. I picked it up without thinking, and that's when I heard his voice. Low, rough, like gravel under boots. Is this Ellen Carter? I gripped the receiver. Yes, who is this? He paused. She said you'd probably hang up, but I'm asking you not to. My throat tightened. June? I'm a friend, he said quickly. She's safe, for now, but she needs help. That's when he said the name that changed everything. Ivy, the girl in the photo. Her name's Ivy. I whispered it like a prayer. Ivy. I didn't know it yet, but that name, that little girl, was about to unravel everything I thought I knew about my own past. And the secrets I'd buried, they weren't buried nearly deep enough. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I just kept staring at that photo on the kitchen table, the edges already smudged from how many times I'd picked it up and put it back down. Ivy, my granddaughter. She had June's eyes, but something else too, a spark I couldn't quite name, a strength. It was nearly dawn when I made my decision. I packed a small bag, just enough clothes for a few days, my arthritis pills, a framed photo of June as a baby, and the letter she left the morning she vanished. Don't come looking, you won't like what you find. I'd read that line so many times over the years, it had carved itself into my bones. But now I was going to look anyway. I locked up the apartment, fed the neighbor's cat like I'd promised, and got into my old Buick. The engine coughed like a smoker, but turned over. I pulled onto the highway heading east, and with every mile I drove, the questions screamed louder in my head. Why now, Why a photo? And what kind of danger could an 8-year-old girl be in that would force my daughter to reach out after 30 years of silence? I made it to Alabama before my hands started shaking too badly to keep going. I stopped at a rest area outside Montgomery, washed my face in the sink, and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot. My hair was sticking out under my scarf. But all I could see were the cracks, the regrets, the face of a woman who'd failed her daughter once and didn't intend to do it again. I whispered into the empty bathroom, "I'm coming, baby. I'm coming for both of you." When I got back in the car, I noticed something. There was a new envelope on the passenger seat. I swear on the Lord above, I had locked that car. I looked around. Nothing. No one in sight. The lot was empty, except for a truck idling way down at the other end. My heart climbed into my throat as I picked up the envelope. This one was different, thicker. Inside wasn't a photo this time. It was a key and a piece of paper with an address scrawled in red ink. Ashbridge Motel, Room 12. Ask for Lou. No return address. No explanation. I sat there with the key in one hand and the paper in the other, my brain trying to make sense of it. Was this from the man who called? Was I walking into a trap? I should have turned around. I should have driven straight to the police, or at least called someone. But then I looked at that crumpled photo again. Ivy, her tiny smile, the fleck of light in her eyes, that same small birthmark, like a little fingerprint from God. Whatever was happening, she was in the middle of it. And if June had trusted this man, this Lou, enough to send him to me, then I had to trust him too. Even if it meant stepping straight into the dark. So I started the engine, and I kept driving, straight toward Ashbridge, Maine. Straight toward the truth I hadn't wanted to know. Ashbridge was the kind of town that didn't show up on most maps. One road in, one blinking yellow light in the middle, and trees so thick they felt like walls pressing in from all sides. The kind of place where secrets didn't just hide, they burrowed. It was nearly midnight when I pulled up to the Ashbridge Motel. 6 rooms on either side, wood paneling faded from years of weather and neglect. A single fluorescent bulb buzzed above the front office door like it was dying. Room 12 was at the end. I didn't knock. I didn't have the strength to second guess. I slid the key into the lock and turned. Inside, the room was dark but warm. Faint smell of cedar and cigarettes. One lamp in the corner was on, casting a yellow glow across a table where a man sat, flipping a silver coin between his fingers. "You came," he said, not looking up. His voice, it was the same one from the phone. "You're Lou," I said. He nodded, middle-aged, maybe 40, worn denim jacket, scar across his knuckles. A face that had seen fights and didn't always win them. "Where's June?" I asked. He didn't answer, just gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit." I did. He slid something across the table toward me. It was another photograph. Not Ivy this time. It was June, but not the girl I remembered. This was a woman. Older, hard eyes, gaunt cheeks, her hair pulled back into a rough ponytail, like she didn't have time to care what it looked like. She took that 2 weeks ago, Lou said. She left it with me, in case she didn't come back. The room went still. The world held its breath. Didn't come back from where? He looked at me, then really looked. She's been hiding for a long time, moving every few months, changing names. But a few weeks ago, someone caught up to her. Who? I asked. He leaned back, exhaled. You ever heard of the Red Pines Church? I shook my head. You wouldn't. It doesn't advertise. They call it a church, but it's not. It's a compound, northern Vermont, closed off, isolated. They call the man who runs it Pastor Elijah. Real name's Dean Harlan, ex-military, ex-con. Real piece of work. June. She escaped from there when she was 17. My stomach dropped. That's where she went? After she left home? She thought she was running towards safety, Lou said. Turned out she was walking into something worse. The room spun around me. I clutched the photo of June like it could anchor me. She never told me, I whispered. She wouldn't, he said. Most people don't survive places like that. June did, but not without scars. What about Ivy? Was she? No, he said quickly. Ivy's not from there. That came later. After June got out, after she thought she was safe, he stood, began pacing. But now they've found her. Somehow, someone traced her back. And they want Ivy. I stared. Why? Why her? Lou hesitated. His voice dropped low. Because she's not just June's daughter. He looked me straight in the eyes. She's Elijah's. The air disappeared from my lungs. I gripped the edge of the table, the words catching in my throat. That's not possible. But I knew it was. And I knew now why June had never come back, why she'd run so far, why she'd stayed silent all these years. Because some truths you can't survive twice. And now that Ivy existed, proof, flesh and blood, they were coming to erase that truth. I closed my eyes, and I knew. I would die before I let that happen. I didn't speak for a long time. I couldn't. My daughter had been through hell, and I'd never known. While I was lighting birthday candles in an empty kitchen and sending cards that always came back marked, "Return to sender," June had been surviving something monstrous. I finally found my voice. It came out hoarse. Where is she now? Lou shook his head. Off-grid. She moves every 2 days. Never the same phone, never the same name. She left Ivy with me 2 nights ago. Told her it was a sleepover with Uncle Lou. The kid doesn't know the truth. Not yet. Where is she? I repeated. Ivy? He gestured toward the adjoining door between the rooms. Sleeping. Safe. For now. I stared at that door like I could see through it. I need to see her. Lou stepped between me and the door. Not yet. She's been through a lot. She doesn't know who you are. I'm her grandmother. She doesn't know what that means. I swallowed hard. My hands were trembling again. I couldn't tell if it was rage or shame or both. "What do they want with her?" I asked. His face darkened. "Elijah doesn't want a scandal. The group's grown. They've got lawyers now, donors, whispers of legitimacy, a child, his child, getting out and existing in the world. It threatens everything. If people start asking questions..." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. They wanted Ivy gone. Not just hidden, gone. I stood. "I want to see her." Lou didn't argue this time. He opened the door quietly and stepped aside. The room inside was dim. A lamp by the bed cast a soft glow. Ivy was curled up on top of the covers, a stuffed bear tucked under one arm. She looked so small, so defenseless. I stepped in slowly, afraid my presence alone might wake her. But she stirred. Her eyes opened. Brown, big, just like June's, just like mine. She blinked at me. "Are you Lou's friend?" she whispered. I nodded, crouching beside the bed. "Yes, baby. I'm Ellen." She studied me, the way children do, searching your face for hidden truths. "You look like the picture Mommy keeps in her drawer," she said. My heart squeezed so hard I could hardly breathe. "You've seen a picture of me? She said you were gone, like the stars in the morning." That nearly broke me. "Your mom loves you so much," I said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "She's just trying to keep you safe." "Are you here to help her?" she asked, her voice barely a breath. "I am," I said. "And I'm here to help you too." She nodded once, solemn, like she understood more than any child should. "I don't like the people chasing us," she whispered. "They have dead eyes." That phrase, dead eyes, made the hairs on my arms stand up. She rolled over and went back to sleep like she hadn't just dropped a blade into the middle of the room. I stepped out, closed the door quietly, and turned to Lou. "What's the plan?" I asked. He looked at me like I'd just told him I was willing to carry a gun. But I didn't need a weapon. I had something better. I had guilt, I had rage, and I had nothing left to lose. "We hit first," Lou said. "Before they can." He opened a drawer and pulled out a faded file folder. "Time to show you what June's been collecting for the last 20 years. He opened it, and inside were names, dates, photos, and a diary. My daughter's diary. The folder was thicker than I expected, stuffed with yellowed notes, blurry photographs, receipts, old ID cards under different names, even a burned corner of a newspaper clipping. But it was the diary that stopped me cold. It was spiral bound, the kind a high school girl might carry. Purple cover, edges frayed. My hands shook as I reached for it. "I didn't read it," Lou said quietly. "Not most of it. June made me promise, but she said you could." I sat down slowly, the weight of it heavier than it should have been. 30 years. 30 years of silence, and now I was holding the only voice. June had left me. The first page was dated October 1992, just a few days after she ran away. Mama asked me once if Daddy was hurting me. I lied. I said he only hurt her. It was easier that way, less confusing, less shameful. But the truth is, I don't remember a time he didn't hurt something. The walls, the dog, me, her. I stopped, closed the book. I couldn't breathe. "Take your time," Lou murmured. But I didn't want time. I wanted the years back. I wanted to go back to that morning, rip open her bedroom door, and drag her away from all of it, from Tommy, from that trailer, from the life I let swallow her whole. I opened the diary again, flipped ahead. I ended up in a shelter outside Shreveport. Thought I'd be safe. I wasn't. He found me there. Not Daddy. Worse, Elijah. He called himself a shepherd. Said God brought me to him. I didn't understand. I just knew he had a way of making people disappear when they didn't listen. He said I was chosen. I was 16. My vision blurred. Each word was a dagger, carving the truth I had never dared imagine. He locked me in a room for 2 weeks, told me silence was devotion, that God only listened when we were pure. I started believing him. That's the worst part. There were smudges on the paper, ink and something else, maybe tears. I turned the page, and there, stuck between 2 entries, was a photograph. A girl standing in front of a wooden gate, a high fence behind her. Her eyes empty, her arms crossed over her chest like armor. It was June, not the child I remembered, not the woman Lou showed me. This was something else, something broken. Underneath, in trembling handwriting, Red Pines, 994. I thought I would die there. I looked up at Lou. "How long?" 3 years, he said. She escaped when she was 19, hitchhiked to Boston. That's where I met her. I was working at a diner. She came in, hungry and shaking. Looked like she hadn't spoken in weeks. He paused, jaw clenched. I gave her coffee. She asked if I believed in hell. I told her I'd been there. She said, "No, you haven't." I pressed the diary to my chest. I felt like screaming, like burning that entire compound to the ground with my bare hands. "She never told me," I said. "Not once. Not even in the letter." "She couldn't," Lou said, because deep down, she still thought it was her fault. A silence stretched between us, thick, heavy. Then Lou reached into the folder again, pulled out another photo. Ivy, but not sleeping, not smiling. This was security footage, grainy, taken at a gas station. Ivy standing by the counter, and behind her, blurry but unmistakable, a man, tall, dark coat, pale, blank face. "Elijah's men," Lou said. "They've found her." The blood drained from my face. "They're closing in," and I knew right then we had only 2 choices left, run or fight. We didn't sleep. While Ivy lay curled in the next room, her small body finally at peace, Lou and I sat at that cheap motel table and planned for war. Not with bullets and fists, though part of me wanted to take that route, but with truth and silence broken, and every ounce of strength I had left in these old bones. "They won't stop," Lou said. Even if June moves again, even if you take Ivy, Elijah doesn't like loose ends, and this, he tapped the diary, is a fuse. I nodded slowly. Then let's light it. He looked at me, eyes narrowing like he was trying to figure out if I was bluffing. You're serious? I've spent 30 years pretending I didn't fail my daughter, I said. I'm not going to fail her child. Lou pulled out a folded paper map. God bless him, he didn't trust GPS. He circled a spot deep in the woods north of Ashbridge near the state line. They've got a safe house here. June stayed there last fall. I helped her set it up. Solar power. No phone line. One road in. No neighbors. I pointed to it. We go there. We get June. She won't like it, he warned. I don't care, I said. She needs to see my face. She needs to know I'm here. And if this man is hunting her child, she doesn't get to do this alone anymore. Lou hesitated, then nodded. At dawn, we left. Ivy sat in the back seat, quiet but alert, clutching that old stuffed bear like a lifeline. She didn't ask questions. She just watched the road pass by with eyes too wise for her age. I glanced back once. You okay, sweetheart? She didn't answer right away. Then, is my mom gonna be mad? I talked to you? That hit harder than it should have. No, baby, I said. She's going to be surprised, but not mad. She nodded, satisfied with that, then added, I think you smell like her. It nearly undid me. We drove for 4 hours, winding up through the trees, gravel roads getting thinner, less traveled. Then finally, just as the sky started to darken again, we saw it. A cabin tucked into the hills like a secret. Lou cut the engine. She won't come out, he said. She never does. Not right away. Then I'll go in. He looked uncertain. Let me check. But I was already out of the car. The porch creaked under my weight. The door was locked, but I didn't knock. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the diary. I laid it on the steps, and I said, loud enough to echo, June Carter, I'm not leaving. Nothing. Just the sound of wind in the trees. I know what he did to you. I know where you went. I know about Ivy. And if you don't open this door in the next 10 seconds, I'm going to read your diary out loud, page by page, until the coyotes get bored. Still nothing. 10. The lock clicked. The door creaked open. And there she was, my daughter. Older, worn, hardened, but alive. She stared at me for a long time. Then she said, I told you not to come. And I said, you said a lot of things, and none of them stopped me from loving you. Her face cracked, just slightly. Then she stepped aside. Come in, Mama, she said quietly. We've got a problem. The cabin was sparse. Wood walls, 1 table, 2 chairs, a cot, a stove, and not much else. But it felt lived in, safe, or at least it had been, until now. June didn't hug me. I didn't expect her to. But when I stepped inside, she looked me up and down like she couldn't believe I was real, like she'd conjured me in a moment of desperation and wasn't sure whether to feel grateful or furious. Ivy's here, I said softly. June didn't react at first. Then she turned away, walked to the table, and gripped the edge like it was the only thing holding her up. "She's supposed to be with Lou." "She was," I said. "But she's your daughter, June, and she deserves to know she has people who would die for her." She let out a breath, shaky. "You shouldn't have come. You shouldn't have gone," I snapped. The silence after that was sharp as broken glass. She turned back to me, and there it was. Rage, grief, betrayal, all boiling under her skin. "You let him hurt us," she said. "You knew, and you stayed." My throat burned. I didn't know. Not all of it. But enough. I nodded. No excuses left. "I thought I was protecting you. That if I took the beatings, if I kept him from blowing up worse, I was doing something good. But I was wrong. And you paid the price." She blinked hard. Once, twice, and then she sat. Her whole body folded in on itself like she hadn't had a chance to breathe in decades. "I was so scared," she whispered, "of everything. Of you finding me, of you not finding me, of Ivy asking where her daddy was." I sat across from her. "She doesn't know?" She shook her head. "Only that he's gone. I told her he left, that he didn't care." "But he does care," I said bitterly. "He cares enough to hunt her." June's eyes met mine, full of fire now. "Then he'll have to go through me, through us." A knock rattled the door. We both froze. June reached under the cot and pulled out a small pistol. Her hands were steady. "It's just Lou," I whispered. June shook her head. "Lou doesn't knock." We crept to the window, peered out. A black SUV idled at the tree line. 3 men stepped out. One of them wore a long coat and carried a cane, though he didn't limp. He looked polished, controlled. But his face, his eyes, were empty, cold. June whispered, "Elijah." My stomach dropped. He looked around the clearing like he was inspecting a crop. Then, calmly, he walked toward the porch. June backed away from the door, gun raised. "He won't hurt me. Not here. Not unless he has to." "And Ivy?" She shook her head. "He doesn't even want her alive, Mama. He just wants the evidence erased." The door rattled once, a calm voice on the other side. "June, you've been gone a long time. Let's talk." She didn't answer. Then, almost gently, he said, "You let the girl go, I let you live. Otherwise, everyone loses." I looked at my daughter. She looked at me, and something passed between us. The years, the silence, the heartbreak. All of it burned away in that moment. "I have a plan," I said. June raised an eyebrow. "You do?" I smiled. "Oh, honey, you think I drove all the way from Baton Rouge just to cry in your cabin?" I pulled a small USB stick from my coat pocket and dropped it on the table. "Lou's been recording everything. The photos, the names, the diary. We made copies, sent them to 6 journalists and 2 lawyers, and the police in Montpelier." June stared at the drive. "Then what's he doing here?" I opened the back door slowly and waved Lou forward, Ivy tucked in his arms like a sleeping angel. He handed her to June. "She's yours," he said, "but you're not alone anymore." I looked at my daughter, my granddaughter, my family. "You ready?" I asked. June nodded, and together, me, June, Lou, and the ghost of every girl that place had ever hurt, we opened the front door. The door swung open. Elijah stood on the porch, flanked by 2 men in black, arms crossed, eyes blank. He looked older than in June's diary photos. But the air around him, it was still heavy, like rot under fresh paint. June stepped forward, Ivy behind her, clutching my hand. He smiled like a snake. "I see you've brought friends," he said. "That complicates things. You always did hate witnesses," June said coldly. I moved between him and Ivy. "She's not yours," I said. "She never was." His eyes flicked to me for the first time. "Ah, the mother." I didn't blink. "The one who's going to bury you." That rattled him. Just a flicker. "Do you really want this to turn into something messy?" he asked. "There's still a way out. Let me take the child. You walk away. No cops, no cameras, no blood." But he didn't know we'd already made the mess, and we'd already told the world. I nodded toward Lou, who held up his phone. "Recording. Elijah Harlan," Lou said calmly. "Formerly Pastor Elijah of Red Pines Church. Currently wanted for multiple counts of abuse, kidnapping, and unlawful imprisonment." I added, "Your compound is already under investigation. The police are en route. The press, too. You don't get to vanish into the woods this time." Elijah's smile twitched. Then it broke. He took a step forward, but June raised the pistol. "Don't," she said. He stopped. "Ivy is mine," he said, his voice dropping into something deeper, less human. "You think you've saved her? You've just painted a bigger target." "She's not your legacy," June said. "She's my daughter. She'll grow up free." His face twisted. For a second, the mask slipped. We saw the thing underneath, the manipulator, the predator, the man who built a kingdom out of silence and fear. Then came the sirens, faint at first, but rising. Elijah turned like he could run. But 2 police cruisers burst through the trees behind his SUV, red and blue lights cutting through the dusk like blades. The 2 men with him didn't move. They knew it was over. Elijah tried to speak, but June had already holstered the gun. She stepped forward, and she slapped him, hard. It echoed like thunder through the trees. "For every girl you broke," she said, "for every lie you fed me, for every year you made me afraid to love my own child." Then she turned and walked back to us. Ivy ran into her arms. The officers shouted commands. Hands went up. Metal clicked. Doors slammed. And just like that, it was done. Not over, but done. We drove back in silence. Ivy curled against June in the back seat, finally sleeping soundly. No nightmares, just rest. At one point, June looked at me. Her eyes were red but clear. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again," she said. "I thought the same," I whispered. "But you sent the photo." She nodded. I couldn't say it out loud. Not yet. But I wanted you to know she existed, that I existed. I reached over and took her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. "Thank you," she said. "No," I replied. "I'm the one who needs to say that." for giving me a second chance. We pulled off the road near a hilltop. No houses, just stars. We sat on the hood, the three of us, wrapped in blankets, watching the sky bloom with light. And I thought of the diary, of the photo, of that little girl who ran away all those years ago, thinking no one would follow. But I did. I found her, and I found the truth. Not the one I wanted, but the one we needed. Because sometimes love isn't about never leaving. Sometimes it's about coming back, no matter how long it takes.